What have you done? Where is it? That's the kind of thing I expect from an SVR, and it doesn't have it. The performance is brutal. We might have to try that again in a little while. But where's the theatre gone? No! Oh man! Welcome to what was supposed to be the 2018 Jaguar F Pace SVR, but due to some component supply issues, what we've got here is the 2019 Jaguar F Pace SVR, a whole year later than planned. And thanks to Harwoods Jaguar Chichester, part of the Harwoods group, I've got this car for the next day, and it's been a day I've been waiting for over a year. I've been super excited about getting behind the wheel of this car. This is the third SVR to hit the road. So the first one was the F-Type SVR, then we had the Range Rover Sport SVR. I'm lucky to have driven both of those, and this, the F Pace SVR. Now what I love about this car from the outside is it kind of looks like any other Jaguar F Pace, but there are some hints that there is something special going on with this one. Special really what's under here. These louvres on the bonnet, there are 4 exhausts sticking out the back, and there is also the Special Vehicle Operations badge front and rear, which kind of give you a hint that something special's going on. So let's start this review by actually looking under the bonnet and talking about the power plant in this car, because it's very, very special. So what we have under here is Jaguar's infamous 5-litre V8 petrol engine, but it's producing 542 bhp, 680 newton meters. And that will propel this car, which weighs about 2,070 kilos. This car will go from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.3 seconds, and it will go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in under 10 seconds and onto a top speed of 176 miles an hour. That puts this firmly up against the likes of Alfa Romeo's Stelvio Quadrifoglio and Porsche's Macan Turbo. Mega. And I think from the outside it's a truly beautiful looking car. So there are a few subtle changes. It's got new front and rear bumpers for aero. Also, this car's now got these massive, great big radiator intakes to help cooling. This particular car is sat on the optional 22-inch alloy wheels. The standard car comes still with 21-inch alloys because the brake discs are absolutely vast. So let's jump in the driver's seat and have a talk about the cabin, because the cabin on this car and the particular spec of this car is absolutely beautiful. It's a very, very special place to be. Oh, it smells so good in here. Welcome to the cabin of the F Pace SVR. A truly stunning place to be. The materials choice in this car, this particular spec, you may or may not be a fan of the red seats. I'm not normally a fan of red seats in cars, I have to be honest, but these ones are quite special. They have a beautiful contrasting centre part. Stitch work in here is beautiful. Lovely kind of SVR logo in the headrest. Very cool. They are quite firm, but very supportive. I'm not going to have the car for very long. I've got it for a day. I'd love to do a longer trip in there just to see if these are comfortable on a long run, but they're certainly very comfortable. And you've just got this cockpit that surrounds you, and the steering wheel feels great. It's got a nice chunky feel to it, and you can get really super comfy very, very easily. But yeah, it's a really special cabin. Now, my review today isn't going to be... It rumbles into life. Isn't going to be so much about the technology, the infotainment system and so on. It's standard Jaguar attire in here. Nice big widescreen. I would say Jaguar MMI and infotainment systems have improved greatly over the last few years, and I can see a lot of kind of I-Pace stuff derived from in here. But it's a really nice, very simple layout. You've got a TFT instrument binnacle, which changes colour when you go into the different drive modes, which we'll talk about when we get out on the road. You've got a kind of wet weather, low grip mode, eco, normal and dynamic. And of course today I'm going to be in dynamic all the time, and when you go into dynamic it automatically turns on the noisy exhaust button, which is just there, and you get a slightly better, more rumbly but yeah, a really super place to be. Just going to turn that off very briefly. So cabin wise, beautiful Meridian hi-fi. You're in an opulent, luxurious place, but then I think you really need to be for this segment. Now, this car we're talking around about £75,000. I'm sure there's a bit of movement in that price depending on the kind of options that you go for, but you are going to be going up straight up against things like Stelvio and Macan, although I would imagine that's still a little bit cheaper than something like a top spec Macan Turbo, by quite a lot actually. So yeah, driver seat, beautiful. Let's just quickly jump in the back to see what the passenger comfort is like. Pretty sure it's going to be okay. Now, this is an SUV, so you would expect to get a decent amount of legroom in the back, and you do. This seat's all the way back, and I've still got plenty of room. Now, you've definitely got room for two adults in here. You could sit on the middle one. It's not technically a seat, but you could easily sit on there, and there's plenty of room. You've got your kind of climate control and power settings and stuff in there. I've even got heated seats in the back of this. The other thing this car has is the most amazing panoramic roof. It opens up the car. It gives a huge amount of light. Perfect for YouTubers, because I'll be sticking some GoPros on there very shortly. But yeah, beautiful place to be. And these seats, again, what I love about them is they're very similar to the front ones. I know that sounds really silly, but they've got this little bit here, which is really cool. So yeah, thumbs up for the back seats. Now, I might have some other passengers that I need to make sure have plenty of room. Can you get two dogs in the boot? Let's find out, shall we? Now for me, the back of this car looks absolutely mega. Starting at the top, you've got this kind of lip spoiler, but it's down here, these big exhausts. You've got a pretty standard kind of I've always thought the F Pace was a pretty car from the outside, but then you've got this little bit of kind of extra wheel arch, extra flair. How big's the boot? Well, the answer is the boot is cavernous. Hey pups! And we got plenty of space for some pups. You're not wanting to see your masses today? You're going to go and say hello? They're over there, look. No? Look. There we go. So yeah, with 650 litre boot, plenty of space. You can drop the seats back. There's you can drop two back. You can drop the middle one if you're going to load through things like skis. So yeah, huge amount of practicality in this car, and you can carry all of that. So 4 or maybe 5 passengers, a boot full of luggage, all at 176 miles an hour. Fantastic. So let's jump in the driver's seat and take this car down the road, because I think it's going to be very, very special. Now, I have reviewed an F Pace before. About 18 months ago I drove the 2-litre diesel F Pace, and the car impressed me hugely. I even took it off-road, did a little bit driving in a field. I did say on that film though, I did think it was a little bit underwhelming because it didn't quite have enough go for me, and if I was going for the diesel version I'd probably have the 3-litre diesel. I don't think lack of go is gonna be an issue today. This car oozes it, and it wafts with the best of them. Sitting here in the driver's seat, you have a lovely elevated driving position. The controls are all easy at hand. I've got loads of really cool stuff on there. Steering wheel, from a heated steering wheel, lane departure warning. I can control all my MMI, answer the phone, everything. Brilliant. And you can get to look over the hedges and see what people are doing. The really interesting thing about this car though is, although it is an SUV weighing just a touch over 2 tons, with I'm sure quite a high centre of gravity, this is a performance car. it's got 542 bhp. It's gonna go like stink. So I think we need to get it on some tight and twisty stuff. And also, I'm gonna put it into dynamic mode with the magic button just here. And all the dials go red, and I now have an animal under my right foot. Now, much as this might look like an F-Pace from the outside, there has been some special amounts of work done. Clearly the engine has been tweaked. 5-litre V8 isn't your standard F-type engine. But they've also stiffened up the springs and changed the dampers, done some work to the brakes and the general suspension setup to make this car far more edgy and sporty and able to deal with that power. And once you're in dynamic mode and you bury your right foot into the carpet, what happens is, well, quite spectacular. Oh my goodness. This is a properly fast car. Oh wow, I might just go to the paddles and I'm just in standard drive mode. Let's give it a bit of Yahoo up here, shall we? Drop into sport and... yeah, so acceleration is brutal. Levels of traction are quite astounding. Clearly four-wheel drive. But when you start to get into a corner, this car just defies its mass. It throws the rules of physics out the window. Cars should not be able to do that. These modern day vehicle engineers clearly are just using some kind of Harry Potter Hogwarts magic to get cars of this format to perform like this. Unbelievable. However, I think there's something missing. Now, the first time I ever drove an F-Type SVR, the thing that blew me away was the exhaust note and the raucousness, the pops and the crackles, the overrun. And then the Range Rover Sport SVR took that to another level. You could kill old grannies in one of those things with a bit of lift off as you went past. This doesn't have it. It sounds great when you accelerate, but as you... there's no cracks and pops. What have you done? Where is it? I mean, don't get me wrong, the rumble, it sounds brilliant, but it's not the big theatrical pops and bangs and crackles that I want. That's the kind of thing I expect from an SVR, and it doesn't have it. The performance is brutal. We might have to try that again in a little while. But where's the theatre gone? No! Oh man! What can I say? I am a touch disappointed. The thing that amazed me the most about the SVR cars was just their ultimate raucous noise. I wonder it's maybe to do with the new emissions laws, and you know, lots of manufacturers are kind of taming back the noise that their cars make, but that's a big bit missing for me about this car. I wonder if the performance will help, I don't know, ease the pain. Let's drop into sport mode, grab a paddle and give it a bit of Yahoo. Oh yeah, all is forgiven. I tell you what, the brakes are really good as well, but it's when you stick it into a corner and the mass of the car just disappears, and oh man, it's just so fast. Honestly, it's one of the quickest pickups in any car I've ever driven. Oh wow. Into Ferrari corner. And boom. Oh, baby. Yeah, okay, it's fast. Now, let me just compare it with a couple of cars I've driven. So, you may well have seen my films I shot with the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, a biblical car, and one that really did make a great noise. This is way quicker than that. And I really love the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. For me, one of the best all-round cars I've ever driven. And this, from a performance point of view, has more go. I haven't driven the Macan Turbo, but I have driven the Macan GTS. Beautifully put together car, no doubt about it. It's a Porsche after all. This does feel like it has more go. So if you want a little compact SUV with an awful lot of go, this car's for you. I wonder what its 0 to 60 time is. Okay, straight bit of road, 0 to 60 test. 3, 2, 1. 60. That felt very fast. That felt really, really fast. This really is a proper grin generator, this car. You can't drive this car and not have a huge smile, not just on your face, but throughout your entire body. I'm not sure I'd want the fuel bill. I've not really had a very typical set of journey in here in terms of fuel economy, but you know, mid-teens is kind of where I'm at, and I think even on a good run you'd probably struggle to get low 20s in this, but it's a 5-litre V8, come on people, it's got to come from somewhere. But you don't buy one of these if you're worried about fuel economy. You buy one of these if you want devastating performance. But what I love about this car is it has devastating performance, but it has very subtle looks. As I said in my intro right at the beginning, you could look at this car at a glance, especially if you weren't a car person, and have no idea how capable this car is. It's a brilliant Q car, really. You could pull up a set of traffic lights and properly ruin a boy racer's day, just with a bit of a depress of the right-hand pedal. My final impressions of the car, I knew I'd love it. I really like the Jaguar F Pace to look at anyway, but this is like the ultimate version of that. This interior is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I would love to do a long journey in the opulent luxury that this cabin provides. I am hugely disappointed at the lack of theatre. The noise from that V8 is great, and actually some of you might think it's just right, it's kind of mature, but I'm not mature. I'm a 47-year-old child, so I want theatre. I want that SVR pops and crackles and barks and overrun, and this car just doesn't give it to me. But I would be willing to forgive that for the devastating performance. I mean, you put your foot into the carpet in this car and it takes off like hardly any car I've ever driven. Unbelievable thing. So I have to say a huge thank you to Jaguar Chichester and Harwoods Group for reaching out to me and saying, do you want to come and drive our new F-Type SVR? And I'm like, yeah, let me just put that one in the diary. Massive support to them, always a huge support to the channel. And I hope you've enjoyed the car. I'd love to know what you think. Put in the comments below what you think of this car. But I hope you've enjoyed that one. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. I can't guarantee it will have the same amount of horsepower or torque that this thing has. Although actually the car I'm driving tomorrow does. Keep them peeled. Stay tuned to the channel. But I'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe.